Internet. It's time once again for gaming with Max Von Puppet. That's me. So today we're going to talk about another role-playing game. This one is called X-Crawl. So this is actually a D20 product. So way back like it was that long ago. But anyway, back when Wizards of the Coast first released 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons, they did what was called an open source gaming license. It's kind of like open source software, only it allowed people to use the rule set for 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons to create all kinds of cool supplements. Third-party companies, for the first time, could create supplements for Dungeons & Dragons that would be just as viable as anything created by Wizards of the Coast themselves. Now, the result of that was that the marketplace was literally glutted with just all kinds of stuff that was made for Dungeons & Dragons, or not even Dungeons & Dragons, just using the D20 rule set. Most of it was utter crap. It just was horrible. Bad stuff. But some of it was pretty good, and this happens to be one of my favorite ones. X-Crawl is what happens when you combine Dungeons & Dragons with reality television and professional wrestling. Yes, that's right. It turns dungeon crawling into a professional sport that happens live on television in a modern day kind of setting. You can see here from the cover, it gives you an example of what they are expecting from a typical X-Crawl party. These guys, there's television cameras, and they've got tattoos, and they're all done up with like kind of a graffiti and a street thug theme going on. It's kind of cool. The game goes on like that, presenting the idea that the player characters are going to be professional sports, like professional athletes that do this X-Crawl sport. And you might think to yourself, if really that's all it is, it's just a supplement that turns Dungeons & Dragons into an extreme sport? Yeah, basically, that's kind of what it is. But it was pretty popular. It was put out by a company called Panda Head Games, and they had a lot of support for the game when it first came out. It had this rule book right here, and really all you need to play was this rule book and the Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition Player's Handbook. I'm sure it's completely compatible with 3.5 as well. And you could just run with it like that. You could run any dungeon that already existed in an X-Crawl setting. It really didn't require a lot of much changing. But the thing I thought was best about it was the background. The setting for it was just really cool. One of the things that I think that they did that was unique for it was they set it in this world. They set it on Earth. Not like modern day Earth as we know it today, but an alternate parallel Earth where elves and dwarves were real people, and orcs and drow also existed. And they came up with this really cool history of the world, including like a prehistory area where magic and adventures and dungeon crawling and all that stuff was kind of real. And so the premise is America is kind of like this Romanesque style empire, and it rules all of North America from Canada to Mexico. And the current emperor has devised this modern day death sport, X-Crawl, in which heroes go into a live dungeon with real monsters to fight their way to glory, and they can actually die during an actual live televised event, which is of course part of the thrill of watching it. You may be rooting for the heroes to make it all the way through, or you may be rooting for the monsters to take them out on the way. And in fact, I'm sure a lot of gambling gets done as you go. And like I said before, there was a lot of support for this game when it first came out. There was several modules that were released, special crawls that were done that fit into the setting, and also did things like allowed you to play a full campaign. If you wanted to, you could go from level 1 all the way up to I think about level 20, and ended in the Emperor's Cup, which was the big huge final like world champion. The Super Bowl of X-Crawling was the Emperor's Cup. I really think the best part about it was the setting, though. It really grabbed my attention. If I had one downside to make about this book, it's that while it did a lot to describe what the life was like as an X-Crawler, it didn't, and it gave a lot of really cool rules for things like signature moves. Yes, you could create a wrestling-style signature move for your character. It also had a lot of modern equipment that you could throw in, and some other neat stuff like contracts with like manufacturers, like companies. You could have a sponsor. You could have a, and where like your armor could have like logos on it for your sponsor. That I thought was kind of funny. Um, and most of that was kind of cosmetic stuff to the game, but some of it had some rules to it that worked out pretty well. But the biggest drawback to it, I think, was that it really didn't provide enough to describe what to do with your characters in between crawls. That was really kind of left up to the game master. If you had a good game master, that was fine. He could do a lot of cool stuff with the setting to give you plenty of things to do in between crawls. But if you were just you know if you weren't really into role playing, there wasn't much to it. You just went on dungeon crawls, which might have been all you wanted, and the game was just fine playing it like that too. But I really wish they had done more with providing material on what to do in between crawls. Now, sadly, X-Crawl is no longer in print, but the good news is you can still get all this really awesome Dungeons & Dragons supplemental material available online as PDF forms. I'll put some links below to DriveThruRPG where the stuff is all still available. It's pretty cheap and it's totally worth it. I highly recommend checking it out. So don't forget to leave some comments. Let me know if you've ever played X-Crawl and what you thought of it. I played it a couple times, and my team always had a blast. My adventuring company always loved it. And until next time, keep playing games. Bye!